Alright, boys and girls, today's lesson is lesson 3-9, and today we're going to be working with time on a number line. So, it's kind of cool because we've been working with number lines quite a bit lately. So now here we are working with number lines when it comes to time. And time on a number line really is helpful because you're not imagining it as a circle and circling back over this, it just continues going on the line. So turn to page 187. And let's look at the number line they gave us, okay? First, you have to understand what the number line represents, because you know you're able to break up a number line into however you want to break it up. You want to break it up into halves, you want to break it up into thirds, fourths, sixths, eighths, sixteenths, twelfths, whatever you want to do. You can break it up how you want to break it up. So when they do a number line with time, it makes sense to break it up into 12 chunks, because one chunk would equal 5 minutes. Because if you look on a clock, it goes 1 through 12 on there. And each one of those numbers represent 5 minutes. So, let's look. I zoomed in closely to the number line here on number 1. And as you can tell, right there's a line, all these little lines, they each represent 5 minutes. So the first one really could be 1/12, 2/12, 3/12, all the way to 11/12 right here. And then 12/12 would make the whole, because that'd be an hour. Okay, so each line represents 5 minutes. So the first question asks, it says Keisha went into a park at 1:30 p.m. Notice there's already a line there for 1:30. She hiked for an hour 35 minutes. Then she went to a picnic area for 45 minutes and left the park. What time did Keisha leave the park? All right, so let's start right at the beginning. We have 1:30. We're going to jump ahead an hour and 35 minutes. So let's go from 1:30 right to 2:30, because that's pretty simple. That's our hour. That's our one big jump. And 35 minutes would be, hopefully you know, it'd be 7 of the little lines. Okay? So we're going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay, so now she's here. Okay? So currently she's at 3:05. Okay, she's at 3:05 when she hits the rest area. Okay? And then she's at the picnic area for 45 minutes, and then she leaves the park. So if we were to add 45 more minutes on top of 3:05, that would be, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes. So this is the time she left. And that time, if you look, is 3:30, 3:35, 3:40, 3:45, 3:50. So she left the park at 3:50 p.m. Alright, hopefully you're seeing how I did that, how I bounced around using the number line. It's actually pretty helpful like that. And subtraction is even more helpful. We'll be going over that in the next page. So number 2 says Lauren arrived at a children's museum at 1:15 p.m. Okay, this one they don't exactly tell you. They don't exactly mark it for you, so I'm going to do it. So I have 1, 1:05, 1:10, 1:15. So this is the time she arrives, 1:15. It says first she spent 30 minutes looking at the dinosaur exhibit. So let's go ahead 30 minutes from 1:15. Okay, 30 minutes would be 6 jumps, because you know it's 5 minutes per line. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that puts us right there. That's 1:30, 1:35, 1:40, 1:45. 1:45 is when she finished up the dinosaur exhibit. It says next he watched a movie for 20 minutes. So let's go ahead 20 more minutes. If you know 20 divided by 5 is 4, so that means we have to go 4 dashes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you look, it's right after 2 o'clock, 5 minutes after. So right now we're at 2:05. So he finished watching the movie at 2:05. Then he spent 15 minutes in the museum gift shop. What time did he leave the museum? How long was he in the museum? Okay, so there's 2 questions they're asking here. So he was in the gift shop for 15 minutes. It's 2:05. If you want to use number line to add 15 minutes on 2:05, you can. Some of you might be able to say, I know 2:05 plus 15 minutes would be 2:20. So 2:20 is when he left. We'll just say left. And the total amount of time he was there, because how long was he in the museum, was he started at 1:15 and he left at 2:20. Not a very long time in the museum, but let's see, 30, 50, that's all he was there. So left at 2:20, was there at 1:15. So how much time elapsed while he was there? Well, let's see, 1:15 to 2:15 is an hour plus 5 more minutes. So he was there an hour and 5 minutes. All right. So I'm not going to go over 3 with you because I want you to do it on your own when we're done. I want to go over subtraction with you. I'm going to do 1 or 2 of these and have you finish that, and then we're going to talk about it more in small group. Okay, subtracting is the same type of thing. You go backwards, though. The lines represent the same. Each line represents 5 minutes. So if you have to go backwards, you just go backward. Go backwards 1 line per 5 minutes. It says Hank finished bowling at 7:15. Understand when we're doing subtraction, we're probably going to start more on this side of the page. Okay, so Hank finished bowling at 7:15. So let's find it. We have 7, 7:05, 7:10, 7:15. Okay, so that's when he finished bowling. He he bowled for 2 hours and 35 minutes. What time did he start bowling? Okay, here's the trick. Don't go ahead and take off your 2 hours first. Okay, don't just take off the 2 hours first. Well, I guess now I look at it, I guess you could take off the 2 hours first. Let's just do that. That might be the easiest chunk. I always tell you guys to start from the right, but on number line, I think you can do it either or. I think you'd be fine. So let's take off our 2 hours right off the bat. So 7:15 will get us to 6:15 and then to 5:15. So we're at 5:15. And then we need to take off 35 more minutes. 35 more minutes, here we are right here, 5:15. 35 more minutes would be 7 lines because you know each line represents 5 minutes. What's 5 times 7? 35 minutes. So we're going to go over 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35. So this is when he started. So it's 4:30, 4:35, 4:40, 4:45. So 4:45 is when he started bowling. And let's double check to make sure that works. 4:45 plus 2 hours and 35 minutes, because that's the best way to check subtraction is to take your answer and add it on to whatever was being subtracted. So if I take my 2 hours and 35 minutes, add it to my 4:45, I get 4:45 plus 2 hours is 6:45, plus 30 minutes is 7:15. I missed something in there, didn't I? Okay, so if I subtract or add it together, I'm going to see that I actually have 7:20. So that tells me I did something wrong. So I actually just paused it and looked back to see what I did wrong, and I realized that when I went back here, when I was right here, and I went back 7 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I actually should have went back 1 more to 7. So really, it was 4:40 is when he started. So double checking your work, you learn. You learn from it, because then 4:40 plus 2 hours and 35 minutes will get me to 7:15. 4:40, 5:40, 6:40, that's 2 hours, and 35 minutes on top of 4:40 is 7:15. So good thing I checked my work, because some of you might have been like, you're wrong, Mr. Winkler. But, of course, I wasn't this time. So I went back and checked it. Okay, next one, Miguel had a job walking dogs. He finished walking the dogs at 7:10. Okay, so let's mark 7:10 first. Okay, 7:05, 7:10. So this is when he finished. 7:10. Okay, he walked the dog for 2 hours and 40 minutes. What time did Miguel start walking the dogs? Okay, so this one we're going to go back in our 2 hours. So let's go from 7:10 minus 2 hours from 7:10 is pretty easy. It's 5:10. Rather than make a huge jump, which I might as well, 6:10 and then 5:10. So okay, so there's 2 hours, and I know it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So hopefully you understand, to go 40 minutes over, or to subtract 40 minutes more, it would be because I'm going by fives, I would have to go back 8 lines, because 8 times 5 is 40. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, it takes us right back to the line, and there's no number there. So they're kind of tricking us a little bit, but I'm sure we could figure it out. So if 5 o'clock's here, we know this would be 4:55, 4:50, 4:45, 4:40, 4:35, 4:30. So they tried tricking us, but we know how to count back by fives, and we understand time, so we know he started walking the dogs at 4:30, walked them until 7:10 because 2 hours and 40 minutes on top of 4:30 is 7:10. Let's just do that with math. 4:30, if you want to add the 2 hours first, gives me 6:30, and then you're going to add the 40 minutes on. You know from 6:30, once you get 30 minutes up, then you'll become 7, and you still have 10 more to add to it. Gives you 7:10. And as you know, it's when he ended. So I want you to work on 6 and 7 on your own. We're going to definitely talk about this in a small group. I kind of like the number lines when it comes to time. I really do think it's the easiest way to teach time, adding, subtracting time. It's just so hard when you're looking at a circle clock and imagining it starting over. That's really what it does. Once you get to 12, you start over. But a number line, it keeps going, and it keeps going with the hours. It keeps going with the whole numbers. So work on these next two on this page, and then number 3 on the first page, and we'll talk about small group.